G'day guys, in this video we're talking about the 7 things men most regret losing when the woman they love leaves their life. You're not going to believe some of these. You have a lot more effect on a man than I think most women give themselves credit for. So in this video I wanted to tell you why. Welcome back to the channel. It's good to be here. New hair and everything. Let's get straight into them. Number 1 is emotional safety. Never underestimate the value of your emotional safety, if you can bring it, has in a man's life. Men should be creating physical safety for you. If there's a physical environment that's dangerous in any way, you want that man to explore it. You want that man to check the corners, to look around, to make it safe, to fight off any bad guys, to look for any ghosts. You want the man to completely make that physical area safe so that you can move around in there, explore yourself and feel totally comfortable. Well, the emotional realm is exactly the same, but here the shoe is on the other foot. In the emotional realm, you are creating the safety for the man. It's very rare for men to find true places of emotional safety, especially because not a lot of men go to therapy. There's not a ton of men out there that are doing that kind of work, which means you as the woman, as the emotional expert, are the one place he might be able to go in his life where he doesn't feel judged or looked down upon for his emotions. This is really important and super valuable to a man. When you have comfort with your emotions, when you can move through your emotional range without judging yourself and being comfortable with it, then a man can poke around in all the space that you've made. You're creating the safety for him. Your relaxedness and calmness in what he perceives as a dangerous environment makes him feel safe so that he can explore the area. That is very rare to a man. When you leave his life, if you've truly created emotional safety for him, and not every woman does, but if you create that for him and you leave his life after he's loved you, that is a bitter, massive loss for a man. That does not come by very often in a man's life, that kind of safety. In fact, it's very, very rare. And I guarantee a lot more than you realize, after he's lost you, after he's lost the woman that he loves, he's sitting there in his room, he's sitting there on his balcony, he's sitting there on his own, and he's remembering how safe, how calm his nervous system felt in your emotionally safe company. That is a massive loss for a man and something we as men deeply regret losing when the woman we love leaves our life. Number 2 is support and companionship. I talked about this a little bit in my book. It's one of the big boyfriend benefits, and I constantly see women underestimate how important this is to a man. Remember, you're good at doing companionship with your girlfriends. You have a lot of those girlfriends, and yes, he can do that with his bro friends, but it's not quite the same. And support. You know, my wife, Sam, she just sent me a text literally last night, and do you know what it said? It said, no matter what happens, Lainey and I believe in you and we love you. I mean, my gosh, I got that text and I thought, geez, what would it ever be like if I didn't have that in my life? How much would I regret it if I did something wrong that meant I didn't have that in my life anymore? Those little beliefs that you have in him, those little supportive things that you do and say where you see him as amazing and you believe in him and you support him, that is so hard to find again. That plus your companionship, it is so valuable to a man. And anytime you think, well, it doesn't matter, he's replaced me now with another woman, please remember, he may have done that on the surface. Sure, a man can hurt a lot and he might be able to find a new woman quickly. But the depth of support, the depth of companionship that you provided, if it was real love, if it spanned over a period of time, it is not replaceable. He can band-aid over it with a new woman, but he's only hiding the pain. It is not the same thing, and it's something I guarantee you he deeply regrets losing. Number 3 is your physical openness to him. Not to turn this video sexual, but in truth, evolution and biology mean that men respond deeply to a woman who is physically open to him. It's literally your body receiving him. And when he loses that, when he loses access to that, he knows that another man is going to have access to that. Never, ever, ever underestimate the value of FOMO. The human brain is already geared to value things that we're losing, let alone when it's a man and it's a sexual option or partner that we're talking about. When your body shuts off to a man, when you're no longer physically available to him, that is a deep sense of regret, not just on an emotional level from knowing you and having had you, but on a biological level. It's very painful for a man. And one of the biggest things men think about when we think about our past partners and the regret of losing them is we think, geez, that person will never be open to me again. she'll never have her body open to me at all, let alone in the way she did. That is a deep sense of regret for a man because of, as I say, not just the evolutionary reasons, but the emotional reasons and experience that came along with that. Speaking of which, number 4, the thing we regret losing, perhaps the most in this entire list, is your emotional openness. It's not just about physical openness to him and sex. Emotional openness is the way you're affected by him. We are men. We're here to be useful in the world. How do we know if we're useful? What's our feedback? Are we affecting women? Are we affecting women ideally in a positive way? When a woman is truly open to us and we're in love with her and we're connected to her, we can see how we affect her. Her heart is open. When we do nice things, when we're good to her, when we please her, whatever it is, she feels great, grateful, happy, pleasured, excited. We see the positive emotions in her. And conversely, when we do something negative or whether or not we mean to, we disappoint her. She feels sad. She feels hurt. At least she feels something. When you truly lose a woman as a man, to the point where you deeply regret losing her, she doesn't feel anything anymore. What you do, what you say, who you are, her heart's closed. It no longer has an effect on her. And that is a deep sense of loss, a deep sense of regret for a man to not have that anymore. Because we know once a woman emotionally closes, not only does her body close, the body usually closes first, but then her heart closes. And once a woman has truly closed her heart, once you've truly lost a woman's heart, you're not getting her back. And we know that as men. That's why women who wear emotional armor are some of the most difficult and painful women for us to deal with, because we can sense they're not open to us. We can sense we're not having an effect on them. We can sense that they're hiding themselves, that they don't trust us. And being useful, being trusted is one of the most biologically important, imperative things that we can have as a man. So if the woman we care about emotionally closes off to us, that is one of the most punishing things we can experience as a man. Number 5 thing we regret losing the most is our past with you. There's a rule in psychology called the peak end rule. It states that we remember things by the peak of the experience and by the end of the experience. So when we're looking back, when we've lost you, when we no longer have you in our lives, in our bedrooms, in our living rooms, when you're not there anymore, what are we thinking of? We're thinking of all those beautiful past memories, the peak of our time together. And we're thinking how we'll never have that again. We'll never have your body again. We'll never have your heart again. We'll never have your support or companionship again. Everything I've said so far in this video, we're sitting there thinking, hi, no more. We don't get it again. The loss, the fact that those things are over, the fact that they'll never happen again triggers a deep sense of regret in a man. And he could be sitting there years later, you not even realizing you've moved on way multiple times in that amount of time. And he's still sitting there thinking, man, do you remember those peak experiences? Man, do you remember when we did that date? Remember when we had that sex? Remember when we had that connection, that holiday? He's still sitting there thinking about them years later, regretting and wishing he could relive them just once so that he doesn't have to feel the loss of them and that they'll never happen again. Number 6, the loss of future. The fact that you guys will no longer be able to make and do all those future plans that you had. All those things, those experiences that you look forward to together. Maybe it was having kids, going on a holiday, going on your next holiday, building a house together, moving in together, buying a dog together, whatever were those beautiful experiences that you spoke about. You're on your best dates and you look forward to them and you got all excited to plan them together. Those things never eventuated. They never came to fruition. And now he has to sit there missing them, thinking of what could have been, wishing they were still in his life and knowing deep down that they never will be. This causes a deep sense of regret in men, guys. I swear to you. When a man realizes all the future things that he's lost, when he's lonely, when he's sitting there on his own months or years later, he's thinking, what if I'd gone the other way? What if I hadn't done that? What if I had built something beautiful with her? And he has to live with the regret of knowing those things will never eventuate. And number 7, finally, the thing men regret the most about losing a woman they love is something I call the female fade. And it's this idea that we as men biologically know that if we tell you to go, if we tell you we're not interested and you listen and you absorb and you believe it and you truly let us go, it will fade away for you and it will never come back. It's not the same for a man. We as men can be sitting there months, years later, still reminiscing, still thinking about the peak of the experience, still thinking about, wow, she was really great, hitting you up even. You don't do that. Women very rarely do that. We as guys know that your heart will stay open and you will hope for the relationship for a while, but after it closes, after you finally accept that it's done and you emotionally move on, we are never getting your heart open ever again. It's a fade, and once it's faded, it is done. It doesn't mean anything to you anymore. And this is why men, as opposed to women, tend to look back on their previous relationships with much more of a grass is greener point of view. For women, it truly does fade away into the abyss, and it doesn't mean anything to them after that. But men can be sitting there decades later and still feeling, oh, that was amazing, that was so important to me, I hope it's so important to her. Wait a minute. Nope, it's probably faded. Means nothing to her by now. Those are the 7 things men regret losing the most. If you want a one-on-one session with me with a guarantee of meeting a great guy, book in the link below. If you just want some dating advice, head to the Queen's Club, drop me a screenshot of what's going on for you. Hit the subscribe button with the little bell, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Hope you enjoyed the new hair.